India jubilant in Adelaide. 31 runs is fine margins in Test match cricket, but it gives Virat Kohli's men a lead in this four-match series. They went into this day as favourites to do the job, but Shaun Marsh and Travis Head in the morning put up some resilience. Tim Paine in the middle, and then the last three that put on 104 together, the last three wickets, to make sure that there were some nerves for India. In the end, the wickets were distributed as 31 runs marks the difference between Australia and India. To sum up, an exciting, extraordinary Test match on ESPN Cricket for Matchday. Virat, Hodge and VVS Lakshman. Let me go to you first, Lakshman. Delighted for India, the better team over the course of, 4.5 days winning this Test match?
Yeah, definitely delighted for India, but it was expected, because I said that before the start of this series and still maintain that they are the favourites to win this series, But, we have to congratulate the determination and the grit shown by Pat Cummins, then Nathan Lyon, before that Mitchell Starc and Tim Paine. And they came so close, and it was too much close for my liking or comfort of any Indian fan, because you don't expect the tail to wag so long. Yes, I understand that the wicket was very slow. It was a good batting surface and the bowlers bowled their heart out. But I really admired the grit and determination shown by the Australian tailenders.
Now, Hodgie, are there a few Aussie batsmen in that dressing room now just thinking to themselves after patting Nathan Lyon and Josh Hazlewood, gee, if only we'd put on a little more?
Yeah, well, the tailenders showed the top order, how it can be done with trusting your technique and having some skill. And yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunities that have been missed in this, this Test match in terms of Australia's batting. It was a good wicket. VVS has constantly mentioned that it's a good wicket, it's a good batting surface. And, if only one of those top order had gone on to score significantly in this second innings, then, would have had a better shot. It was only Shaun Marsh that passed 30 and no one else could actually go along with it. So the difference for me in the game was for sure Pujara and going on to score a Test match century.
Just towards the end of the match, Hodgie, did you feel like it was getting a little easier for Australia? India not quite sure about their fields or giving Josh Hazlewood the single on offer. Can we to some degree say that India helped this match get as close as it was?
Yeah, look, it certainly started to heat up. The crowd started to get into it. There was a lot more excitement from the Australian side of the fans. The Swami Army were busy all day, but you could sense that the 2.5 hour session at the start of play, and then the extra half an hour tacked on because the 9 wickets out, you could see that the Indians were just starting to get a little bit tired. Ashwin had bowled consistently all day with limited rest. The quicks operated for 2.5 hours, and you could sense that Virat Kohli, even though he was trying to keep calm, was just starting to feel a little bit of pressure, and the Aussies' belief was starting to increase as well. It was a pretty cool finish to a Test match.
A couple of dropped chances added to that drama, both Pat Cummins and then Nathan Lyon. But just to capture how this day went on, you've been saying throughout that it's been a good pitch to bat on. Yeah. So is it just two batting teams that are struggling to get top form and everything getting going, or two bowling units that have kept batting in check for an extraordinary amount of time this Test?
I think there's no doubt that the bowlers have done a tremendous job. This was not an ideal wicket for the bowlers. You had to bowl with a lot of discipline and patience. You can't just run through a batting side. And both the sides bowling unit have shown the discipline. Except probably I still think that Mitchell Starc was not at his best. But having said that, when the tailenders of Australia can do that, when Pujara can do that, can show that if you are patient, if you can grind it out, then runs are there for the taking on this wicket as well. So it's not about going out and playing with the natural flair, flamboyance. There's some wickets where you have to grind, and when you're playing at the international cricket, you have to adjust your game based on the conditions you're confronting. But there's a lot of lessons to be learned, for both the batting sides. For India, on the first day, the first 1 hour, the loose shots they played, when it demanded to show more discipline, more grit, more patience, especially when you're playing the first innings of the Test series, especially when you know that the plan of the opposition bowling lineup is to get a nick. They were bowling in the channel or the corridor of uncertainty, some loose shots away from the body. And then same with Australia. The top order played didn't gifted away the wickets to the Indian bowlers. Yes, the Indian bowlers built a lot of pressure, but you see the way Harris got out, Finch not reviewing the decision, the way Khwaja threw away his wicket, Peter Hanscom did that, and then the way India had that brilliant initiative, especially when Pujara and Rahane had that wonderful partnership, but to lose 5 wickets, last 5 wickets for just 29 runs, and we mentioned at the end of the third day that can prove costly, and it almost proved costly for Team India. So all these things are something to learn and take going forward. I think the batting group of both the sides should realize that we cannot depend only on the bowlers.
Now, if you did follow India's expeditions in England or even South Africa, you would know that this has been a problem. Therefore, your eyes would have been raised when you would have been a bit nervous when the lower order came in and started showing up some fight, because as far as India go against the lower order this year, against numbers 8 to 11 in tests in 2018, India actually have the poorest bowling average. And I don't have Ajit Agarkar here to try and explain why that happens, but I'm trying to still figure it. It's not just when the game's with you. We've seen in England many times India were in control and then some low rearguard action took the game away from them. What happens, VVS, at a time when you've got all of it? Can concentration levels just drop?
I think concentration levels should not drop. But the thing is, when you take the top 6 batsmen out, and get their wickets, invariably as a bowler, the mindset is to run through the tail. And in trying to do that, sometimes you'll not stick to your game plan. Sometimes you may lose patience, or you try too many things. And in the bargain, a partnership developed, and that's exactly what happened when India toured England. Because majority of the games, they were 4 or 5 wickets down, and someone like Sam Curran comes and scores a half century, and then slowly turns the tide towards the home team. And it's more about executing your game plan. Like today, as the partnership between Cummins and Nathan Lyon was building, you could make out that the bowlers were trying too many things in trying to get that wicket. And it does happen. But when the top 5 get out, I think it's important to stick to the basics. The reason why you got the top 5 wickets is the way you want to continue rest of the innings as well. So just losing that patience allows the tailenders to score runs, and this is something which India doesn't afford in this tour, especially because the top order looks inexperienced. The top order of Australia looks that they don't have a game plan or clarity about how to go out and get runs. But the way the tailenders have applied, they were more assured than the top order batsmen. You see the way Pat Cummins batted in the second innings, Nathan Lyon batted in both the innings. Mitchell Starc, even though both the innings he got out playing the big shot. Tim Payne can bat with patience. So I think the bottom half of Australia looks more assured than the top half of Australia as far as batting is concerned.
Well, they put on more than half the runs, did the final 5 wickets. So VVS Lakshman's point being made. Now, in spite of how resilient the lower order was, and maybe that takes the sheen away a little from the Pacers' performance in this test match, but we just look at the bowlers and do a further assessment of them. And we did ask Brad Hodge and VVS at lunchtime today whether they feel that the Pacers from India have outbowled those from Australia, and the numbers tend to suggest that 14 wickets at 23 for India's Pacers, Hodgie, and 11 wickets at just under 28 for Australia's. We're also going to just focus on their lengths in a bit. Now, when India came here, they knew that maybe they expected their batting to at least better or match the Australian batting, but I think they'll be taking a lot away that they've managed for their bowlers to outbowl the Australian bowlers.
And I think they have, and I think those figures show, or stats show, that the Indians have come here with a specific game plan to pitch the ball up and challenge the stumps and techniques of the Australians, and they certainly did that. And like VVS said, apart from Mitchell Starc, I think all other fast bowlers within this game have been outstanding. Mitchell probably just wasn't at his best, but when he is, he's first class. And I think what we've got though is 6 serious pace bowlers on the park at one time in Starc, Hazlewood and Cummins, Ishant, Bumrah and Shami. And, when they're going and when they're bowling at their best, they're really good to watch. And to partner that with Nathan Lyon and Ashwin, you've got 2 very good test attacks. And one of the other things which we're pushing these guys to strive harder is Bhuvaneshwar Kumar and Umesh Yadav, who are sitting in the wings waiting, and they're such talented bowlers that they can find their way easy into this team. So, that presence of mind about those guys who want to push for selection, make sure that those guys on the park keep pushing and pushing, and they delivered in spades. They were outstanding.
So what's going to be the difference as the series gets deeper? There's been a lot of bowling in this Test match, nearly 200 plus overs for both teams in a 4-man attack. Will it be about who holds up better over the long summer?
Well, it's all about batting. You know, I believe that as Augie rightly mentioned, that both the lineups are very good. The advantage India has is they've got reserve in Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Umesh